and loved ones. Need help and support? Please contact us at the hotline 311 Psychosocial Support at 722-6575 or 518-4157. Brought to you by PAHO, the OACS Commission, and UNICEF.
Good evening, Senator, and welcome to another Saturday Sports Night. This is the 8th edition of the program. And of course, I am your host, presenter, Anthony de Beauville. And as always, I simply hope you had a productive week. Exciting. For some of you, relaxing. You know, some persons still at home because of the COVID. Simply hope you had a wonderful one. Sports-wise, exciting. And a number of you will be hoping that I start off with the fanfare in terms of local football. I go in there this evening, not just yet. But I'll get there at some point, but not now. Okay? But West Indies cricket, let's put it as this. At least 5 or 8 years ago, chasing 375 for victory, West Indies will have lost that game. And bravo to this current team for digging deep and achieving a draw in the first test against Sri Lanka, chasing 375. And of course, the man of the hour, Bonet, 114 not out. I mean, that's a good achievement. Playing against the odds, you know. The West Indies and Sri Lanka played to an exciting draw in the first test match, which ended on Thursday at the Sir Vivian Richards Cricket Ground or Stadium in Antigua. West Indies needed a mammoth 375 for victory, reached 246 for 4 before the Sri Lankan captain called it a day. The two teams will now prepare for the second Sandals Test match, which starts on Monday at the same venue. First ball is scheduled to bowl off at 10 a.m. West Indies hero in the second innings, Bonet, scored his maiden century and batted throughout the final day to guide West Indies to a well-earned draw. Chasing 375 for victory, West Indies started the last day on 34 for 1, and Bonet batted all day to make 114 not out. He provided a solid anchor the home team needed. First putting 66 with captain Craig Brathwaite, 23 for the second wicket, then finding 105 for the fourth wicket with Carl Myers. Near the close, he added 42 with Jason Holder, who made 14 not out to ensure the draw. Left-handed Myers scored 52 with 5 boundaries of 113 balls, which followed up his first innings 45, but was out in the first over after tea. German Blackwood followed soon after for just 4 as West Indies slipped to 204 for 4. However, there was no alarm as Bonet remained calm and carried on until the close of play at 5:18 p.m. He spent 8 balls on 99. This is a nervous 99. 8 balls at 99 on 99 before scoring his maiden century with a cover drive for 4 of Vishwa Fernando. At that point, the 42-year-old played his only 6 test innings, had faced 243 balls and hit 11 fours and a 6. Bonet has been very consistent since his test debut in the historic win against Bangladesh last month. Scores in the match: Sri Lanka 169 and 476, West Indies 271 and 246 for 4. We have a few picks of Bonet and of course Rakim is the first Antiguan to score a half-century at the Sir Vivian Richards Cricket Stadium. First Antiguan. Of course, Jason Holder in the first innings picked up 5 for 27. And of course, that's Bonnet, 130 not out, his 6th test innings. At least we can say, well done to the home team. And we look forward to the second test, which starts on Monday. More cricket news, and of course, it's ballot time or voting time for Cricket West Indies. Cricket West Indies and England tomorrow in the day set for to hold a 22nd annual general meeting in respect of the financial year ended September 30th, 2020. Due to the continuing travel-related effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the meeting will again take place virtually via video conference, as was done in COVID-19 delay meeting last year. It's also the day when incumbent President Ricky Skerritt and Vice President Dr. Kishore Shallow will face the challenges from Ansad Sanasi of Guyana and Calvin Hope of Barbados, respectively, for the leadership of the organization for the next 2 years. Cricket West Indies President Skerritt said, all arrangements are in place for a productive annual general meeting. This is not the first time that Cricket West Indies is hosting a virtual AGM, but it will be the first time that our leadership election will take place virtually. We have everything in place to ensure a proper and constructive meeting. Shareholders are slated to receive reports from the Cricket, Commercial and Financial Committee, and for the first time, audited financial statements, which has been consolidated to reflect West Indies of the interests in Coolidge Cricket Ground. So we have some picks, so persons will be aware of the two individuals, incumbent, no, yes. To your left, Ricky Skerritt, and to your right, Dr. Kishore Swallow. And of course, we have Sanasi to your right, to your left, and Calvin Hope to your right. And they're the ones that will be contesting the election against the incumbent. More cricket news, and of course, West Indies will host England 2022, the English coming. Cricket West Indies and England, Wales Cricket Board earlier this week announced the scheduled match dates for England next tour of the Caribbean in 2022. It represents an expanded schedule to the Regional International Cricket Council ICC Feature Tours Program, FTP. The January 2020 tour will now feature 5 T20s, increased from 3 matches to be followed by England returning to the Caribbean for 3 test matches in March, increased from the original 2 test matches. But what makes it even more interesting is that the test match series will be played in honor of 2 great cricketers, Sir or Lord Botham, Ian Botham, and Sir Vivian Richards. And of course, Richards played 121 tests, scored 8,540 runs. His highest score, 291 against England at the Oval in 1976. Hundreds, 24. 50s, 45 at an average of 50.23. While Lord Botham, Ian, played 102 test matches, scored 5,200 runs, highest score 208, 14 centuries, 50. In terms of 50s, 22 at an average of 33.54. The test series will be the first in which the 2 teams compete for the newly commissioned Richards Botham Trophy. And we have some picks just to bring back some of the good old days of these 2 great players. This is Ian Botham diving to take a catch to out Greg Murphy of Australia. Viv Richards. Ian Botham getting the wicket of Javed Mihandad of Pakistan. Of course, the great Surviv in his day. Ian Botham, a quick firing 34 or 14 deliveries against New Zealand. Of course, a drive on one knee from the great man, Surviv. You don't often see shots like this anymore. You don't often see that. Let's be honest, people. You don't often see the shots. You know? Okay? All right. Still in that first segment, we go over to Dominica. And the reason why I really want to go to Dominica is because there are times when, and I've said it on this program, we use, abuse, and discard. It's here. We see it here. And those cricket fans or enthusiasts, lovers, cricket lovers, who followed Tyrone Theophille, he was in a major accident last year. And he's kind of recovering. But hear this. The cricket family of Dominica has thrown its full support behind Tyrone Theophille, the former Dominica captain and Windward Islands batsman. The hard-hitting opener is in need of urgent financial support following an accident last year. He received severe injuries, and the fundraiser will go towards a second surgery. Liam Sebastian, the son of former Windward Islands opener Lockhart Sebastian, and Liam is also a former Dominican and Windward Island player, is part of an organizing committee of activities set for tomorrow, March 28, at the Winter Park in Dominica. As part of the effort, they'll have a celebrity match featuring several local government and opposition officials, present and former players. There'll also be a double wicket competition and a hard six hitting competition. The 41-year-old Theophille made his debut for the Windward Islands against Jamaica in January of 2010. In his 68 first-class matches, he scored 3,055 runs, including 3 centuries, his highest score of 160. According to Sebastian, Tyrone was a very good player for Dominica and the Windward Islands. And he also played for the West Indies President 11. So he made a wonderful contribution to the game. So for those who happen or can't remember who Tyrone Theophille was, that's him here. Tyrone Theophille. That's him right here. Playing for the President 11 team. So, here you have it. In the first segment of Sports Night, we'll take a break. And of course, I'll be right back with you with a guest. And
the COVID vaccine is here and is for people 18 years and older.
High-risk healthcare workers, first responders, law enforcement,
as well as people living with chronic conditions.
And our seniors 65 and over. The vaccine is absolutely free.
Vous sa registre online, en community center qui en community ou.
Or with your private healthcare provider. Vaccinate for you.
Pour moi.
For us.
UTV. I know you want to say
got it. If you identify with the most pulsating, the most riveting, the most eye-capturing UTV. To advertise with UTV, dial 484-7588 or 572-7588. For some of the most competitive rates, amazing programming, and bang for your buck. The most popular streaming channel, UTV 124 on Facebook. Get it now. Check us out on Instagram at UTV 124. Email us utvslu@gmail.com. UTV. It's not just for me. It's definitely TV for you.
Because of how quickly the coronavirus spreads, Each new case calls for increased public vigilance. Know what is happening, understand why, and comply. Think of the protocols as war tactics. Personal protection tactics. Keep 6 feet away from others. Avoid riding the bus, gathering on beaches, in bars and shops. Public protection tactics. Quarantine yourself if you feel fluish in case you have been exposed. Call 311 or a respiratory clinic for advice. Country tactics. Partial lockdown. Supermarkets, small grocers, pharmacies and ATMs are accessible before curfew. Total lockdown. Everywhere stays closed 24/7 for a stipulated period. Team tactics. Don't only follow the protocols. Be a protocols police. Let's win this.
Together let us win this war. Said we shall be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
Did you get the COVID-19 vaccine? Then you may experience one or a combination of side effects, or even no side effects at all. Side effects may include pain or tenderness in the area where you got the vaccine. You may also notice a little swelling or redness. To manage these, you may apply a clean, cool, wet washcloth or an ice pack over the area. Throughout your body, you may feel chills, fever, nausea, joint pain, tiredness, headache, or muscle pain. To manage this discomfort, you should get plenty of rest. Drink fluids, but avoid alcohol and caffeine. If you need to manage pain, you may take paracetamol, not aspirin. You may continue to take all medications prescribed for you for your health condition. Vaccinate. For you, for yours, for us.
We have someone in distress. Her son had contact with someone diagnosed with COVID-19. He is a contact.
My goodness. I hope he doesn't have corona. This thing is spreading like crazy all over the world.
I said I will be back. It's time for me to spread.
Don't shed a tear. The germaphobes are here.
Where did they come from?
Your son had contact with one of the corona cases. So let's tell you how to take care of him while he is in home quarantine.
I'll appreciate that.
Have him stay in one room, separate from the family. Have him use a bathroom which no one else will use. Give him his own dishes, cutlery, towels, and bedding. No sharing with others. He should wear a mask, as well as anyone who is attending to him.
Wash hands often with soap and flowing water for at least 20 seconds after attending to him.
Every day, clean all surfaces that are touched often in his room, as well as the surfaces in the other rooms of the house, including counters, tabletops, and doorknobs. A bleach and water solution is very effective for doing this.
Keep his laundry separate from the other dirty laundry in the house. Wear disposable gloves when handling his laundry and wash your hands immediately after removing the gloves.
Mops! Hey, Mops! I heard that you were sick. I came to see you.
Avoid having unnecessary visitors.
He's feeling well, but we cannot have you visit. Call him on his phone instead.
Oh, okay, I understand. Just tell him I passed by Miss Francine.
Okay, my boy.
Taking these precautions will help keep corona away.
Thank you so much, germaphobes.
Our work here is done. Germaphobes, let's go.
They think they can stop me. I will never give up.
Hi, I'm Jim Joseph, President of the Beausejour Community Group. We believe St. Lucia can win the war against the coronavirus, and here's how. Every community in St. Lucia must mobilize, coordinate, monitor and support residents the way we would before, during and after a natural disaster. Identify volunteers in your community, assign them roles and deploy them. Ensure your elderly and vulnerable understand all protocols. Help relatives, shield them from unnecessary contact with others. Identify those recently unemployed and vulnerable neighbors living alone. Put systems in place to filter updates from official sources throughout your community. Promote the hotline number 311. If it takes a village to raise a child, then all of us can come together to defend the village against the coronavirus. Let's do it.
Together let us win this war. Say you shall be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
Driver, pas de bout de no sala Yo ka pon vie bagay COVID sa, sort l'hôpital la ko yo katay, et yo ka mene yo commune la ba moun.
Them people not supposed to be boarding Simbasi first. You never know what they have.
If that nurse board the bus, I going down.
Madam, think before you speak. These are the same people who take care of us. All of us. They have their own families to go back to. And still, they put themselves on the front line for us. And you want to discriminate against them? Awa. Not on my bus. I just can't do it, You making me finish all my good English on you.
Good morning.
My lady, thank you so much for all the sacrifices you all make. Together, we must win this war.
Together we can beat this corona.
Hey girl, what's your name? What's your name? Hey,
you're in a good mood.
Girl, if I tell you, I just pre-registered for the COVID vaccine. Hey, but yes.
Supporting you in getting vaccinated is important to us at the Ministry of Health. By selecting one of the options for pre-registering, it helps us to be better prepared and more efficient at managing your demand for vaccination. There are 3 ways to pre-register for your COVID-19 vaccine. 1. Go online by visiting https://hmi.govt.lc/. 2. Contact your closest wellness center. Or 3. Contact your private physician. When we get vaccinated, we don't only protect our health, we are taking action that benefits the health of our entire nation. Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us. A message brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Empêcher maladie à tout pichou, pas jouer avec corona, point vaccin là. Empêcher maladie à tout pichou, pas jouer avec corona, point vaccin là. Empêcher maladie à tout pichou, pas jouer avec corona, point vaccin là. Pas jouer.
Ça c'est la commission Haute Association médicale et dentale en cette liste.
I'm back. I simply hope that you grab a popcorn or something, and sit down and, grapefruit juice, like I do, grapefruit juice, Yeah. Welcome again, St. Lucia. Let's take a look at boxing, and it's international boxing. And it's amazing. Mike Tyson has decided to bypass $25 million. Can you imagine that, Mike? What a wool, eh? Funny wool. Evander Holyfield rep say Mike Tyson rejected $25 million fight offer. Mike and Evander Holyfield had been in negotiation to fight each other for the 3rd time, but it looks like that fight might not happen at all. According to Holyfield representatives, Tyson rejected $25 million guaranteed offer to fight Holyfield. We thought this was a done deal, but it quickly fell apart when Tyson people declined all offers. Holyfield manager Chris Lawrence said in a statement via NewYorkFight.com, "We were negotiating in good faith all along, and it appears we will just end up wasting our time." The statement makes pretty clear that Holyfield rep placed all the blame on Tyson and his camp for unsuccessful negotiation. Now, I have some picks there for you, my viewers. And let's roll back the years. Tyson, Holyfield, including that great bite. Let's go. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. And you remember that great bite? That chunk? Well, you see it? All right, I didn't say it, That's it there, right? That's it right there. So, after how many years, And that was on June 28th, the third round. All right, 1997. All right, that fight. So maybe Tyson trying to figure out another way to beat Holyfield. So he turned out that 25 million. Might ask for 50. You can never tell, But anyway, we have come to the point where I'm going to introduce my guest. And my guest, he's the technical director of the Grosley Football League. He's also the technical director of Northern United All-Stars. He's part of the St. Lucia Sports Academy, Dormitory. He's the supervisor of that facility. Former head coach, and I repeat, former head coach of the St. Lucia National Senior Men's Team, 2018-2019. And of course, in terms of some of his wins, Island Cup, Black Hat Big 8, and he was also the SLFA Coach of the Year for 2019. An attacking midfielder in his earlier years. Yeah, attacking. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Francis McDonald.
Good evening, Mr. Bowler.
Good evening, sir. It's been a nice week, but we won't go there just yet.
Okay.
How it all started for you in terms of your coaching experience, a player, because you played in Martinique, you also played in Germany.
Right. Well, my coaching experience came in at my interval of an vehicle accident. Before that, I was engaged fully and strongly in football. At the age of 35, thereabout, 36, I was still healthily engaged in football, going across the waters, Martinique, and also going into coaching in Martinique as well, before my accident. And when my accident came, unfortunately, it took me about a year or so before I really got back into, the framework of things. Psychologically, the accident played a lot upon me, in that a lot of things have changed. And thereafter, I resorted in terms of, if I cannot play any football anymore, it's best as well, give my experiences in coaching, or start my coaching career from here. I think the first time I aided was coaching the Northern B junior team back then, where Eden Charles and Troy Greenwich and Aramis Lord and those youngsters came out from, and those brothers under me at that time. And that took a little pathway that started that journey for me in coaching. And in that same following year, we had the Black Hat Grosley won the Black Hat in that year with those players coming on board. So it took a turn. Not what I expected. We never expect things out of life. But we adjust ourselves to life in terms of what may come. I never gave up, but continue to grow from there on.
Okay. But interestingly, you mentioned Troy, Amaris, and Eden. And I have a few pics there. I want you to have a quick look. Sure. That's the Grosley team.
That's right.
Troy Greenidge. Amaris Lord. Romel Felix. So, tell me a little of these players.
These players grew under, they came off under my leadership at that time, so I knew a lot about them. I knew what the strengths, the character on the field, the personality on the field, what they can give on the field, because we had a lot of one-to-one personalities, coach and player. So I knew inside out as to what those players were about and how they could be used in the field. One of the things about coaching is that I've learned is that the experiences that comes with it, they don't teach you that in terms of the courses that you may take, but it's some things that you develop. And it's a personal thing that in terms of personal management that will help in terms of the strength of your team, how you relate to your players and the players' respect back in towards you. So those men, Aramis and those guys, they have given a lot to football, especially under my leadership, under my coaching, and I respect them for that because I know them from inside out. I can see that when those players give their heart and soul out there. I mean, yes, we may enjoy the accolades, the championships, but you must also understand that you must respect the players itself. And because they are the workmen on the field, they're the ones to carry your plan on the field. So if they don't understand your plan of what you expect them, but to expect out of them, therefore it's not going to carry, it's going to be a success to you. So I have to say kudos to those guys over the years for the number of success plans at the club and moving on to other clubs. I still respect them, we still speak. They were also part of the journey in terms of especially Eden Charles, which was victorious at the finals of the Island Cup, which miraculously in the last 9 minutes, well, they say that football don't have miracles, but I would say yes, these football is played under 90 minutes, and these players, you can see that what is expected of them, and they came out and proved themselves out. So kudos to them.
You deal a lot with the senior men's team. What about the juniors? You work with the juniors and the ladies as well, or?
Yes. At the club Northern, being a technical director there, I had to expand the club. Growth and expansion was the key role for me. We developed a philosophy where it would take us to generations after generations. And in that philosophy, it's passed on from the grassroots program based on what we identify as talent development. What we look for in terms of fitting in terms of our structure from transitional from youth to senior, both male and female. So therefore, I also was part of the orchestration of winning the Northern Zone under 14 youth tournament. I think that was 2 years ago.
Was it as a Guardsman tournament?
No, it was actually the Guardsman tournament. We won the Northern Zone, and then there's the Island Zone tournament where the SLF went both of my teams, both the under 14 won back to back.
And the final was at Lactory Field.
Right.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
So that was I worked with them, and I understood them because I understood the plan that I had, and I want the plan that I had to be incorporated in the youth system and to show dividends that it is working. Now, the best teams, let me just say, the best team at that point in these tournaments was Lancers. But the best team is not the best team on paper. It's what the players believe in. How much that they want to win, how much that they desire to win. And they may not have the skill sets, and that's what we are trying to focus on. It's not just about skills. We have to look for also at our program, the long-term development plan of each individual footballer or athlete that we have in our sector.
I can't recall his name now, but I think he was the captain of the under 13 team, and I think he plays midfield or somewhere there. And that boy,
Ty Peters.
Yes, Ty Peter. He has a great future ahead of him when it comes to football. Very, very good future. Yeah.
Right. And one of the things that we also do at the club, and passing on into the Grosley setup also, which we'll speak in further the High Performance Center, is that identifying the most skillful players to develop a pattern or framework. And Ty Peter, being started as a defender, he knows the game very well. but his football career will not stay as a defender. There were some things about him in terms of his biological pattern where his height is, as a defender, is too short. So these are considerating patterns that we know how to fit in now in other positions where we can now develop other areas. We want to see that all players get enough playing time that they may develop into the skill sets and stuff like that. So, and not only at the senior level, I also have the female level. I'm working in terms of the components and working along organizing that also with the female, which we participated in, I think, also 2017, the Northern Zone Spider Female Cup. Became second after big players. It is a good start, good initiative from the Grosvenor Football League. We wanted to go for the second year, last year of COVID, but things changed and stuff like that. We want to develop that for the girls, the females, so they could develop the sport of female football.
As coach, do you miss the game presently? I know you have a passion, I know you have a love, but presently with COVID and all these things happening around, do you really miss the game now?
Yes, I do. I will be honest to tell you the truth, and to St. Lucians, coaching is a passion. And I don't think that any coach right now, being at home, being on the chair, being wherever they are, will just sit comfortably with their feet on the table or the chair and be relaxed and say, okay, I'm on a break. It's a desire to always want to teach. It's a desire to hunger, because being a footballer transcended into coaching, there's this always desire. This is where you meet people. This is where you integrate with people. This is where you meet and teach people. And that thing is always continuous. You miss that. I stood in the last year and I was frustrated.
Yeah.
I was very deep and my players were expressing their frustration as well. And right now we say, okay, now we have formulated a plan in the COVID plan training sessions, that we have a set of players training every day in different set groups in terms of how they go along, in terms of preparing for. There's no competition, but the desire to be on the field. And these players take that hunger and that passion to come in. So I missed it.
Yeah.
And based on the programs that we always have a healthy program.
Yeah.
So the players buy into the concept and they buy into the philosophy of the club also.
You bring me up to speed in terms of the HPC, the High Performance Center, under the, hoping to come on stream under the Grosvenor Football League, and what it entails and so on.
The HPC Center is basically, High Performance Center is attracting the young athletes or young footballers from ages between under 12, some under 12 to under 15. It's a talent-based framework where we select not just the best players, but we select players that has good showing as well. So we want to make sure that we meet every areas and drafting every player that we have and put them in a particular group to train, whether it's once a week, right? Continue the development in terms of the skills and the programs in terms of educational, health reforms in terms of the diet, and other areas that we speak about safety and hygiene. So these boys, in terms of the academical level also, we take a very good look at what we can do to assist them, especially after school, because some of those, one of the things about these athletes, they're very good, talented raw crops, but we want to see them either they don't succeed at football, but academically they can succeed. Now the two have to be able to combine together, football and academic school. If we are developing the HPC Center with athletes, these two must be a common priority. So also we meet with the parents to align them with also sensitizing them as to what is expected at these training grounds and these training times. So when those boys come out, we select from an entire team in terms of the goalkeeping department, defending, attacking, at least a full squadron in different areas that we can look at, and have them to stay in this framework until a particular time, and be also representative for Grosvenor, because this is the future, and also for national selection from the youth group.
Interestingly, you mentioned parents. How involved are the parents and their support to such initiative?
Well, when we started, we had a lot of support. I must say that the parents of these athletes or footballers, they came through for us. They gave their support in whatever kind that they have, whether it's through sandwiches, local juices, and other areas. They came in, some of them came in to give their, even also to watch to see what is going on. As sportsmen and sportswomen, we always need the parents around for support, especially at that tender age. The kids need, that's because the kids are going through some deep psychological evaluation and distress at the same time. When you see the pressures are on, they have to cope with a number of areas in their life. So the parents sometimes can play a very vital role being around. And that is something that is lacking in terms of our especially the young ages, in terms of competitions and being around in training sessions and stuff like that. We don't want parents to come and say, hey, they want to be the coach, but you know how it is, parents can get very sensitive, but a support system. So what we have started, we have had a number of parents coming out and give and lend their support in different areas. So they have been donors.
And in terms of funding, who is going to fund the HPC Center?
Well, the general funding comes out of the Grosley Football League as a start base, but we look to expand for sponsorship in the future. These kind of programs, they need the financial support. So the Grosley Football League had 95% of the sponsorship at the beginning, and still do right now, in terms of trying to see that these programs take off the ground and see that there's a start base and that they can have a continuity into it.
But where is the HPC Center located though?
It's where we use different areas. Right now we have different outlets that we can use. The Grosley Field, we have the upstairs, the old community center that we could have programs, but the building is not the safest place. Yeah. They're due to do some reconstruction of this building. So our eyes are on also on this, to working with the sports academy to see how we can unite together to see, because some of those players we have also go to the sports academy also.
What is it like with the sports academy in terms of football?
Well, it's just like we're attracting the best in the country. And it's not only, we also make room for those expected players that we see that comes in. As a matter of fact, the Sports Academy has been attracting a lot of foreign personalities. We had a lot of interviews with persons outside of St. Lucia who have sent in their intentions to us with their children. So it has been, right now it's been a good start. In terms of football, the program continues still, the one-on-one, they still engage the athletes, the footballers, the cricketers, everybody is still engaged in the programs on a one-on-one basis. Football has a very big program that helps in terms of sensitizing the development of the footballers in terms of the knowledge of the game. We take up the stats of the footballers based on the knowledge and the other areas of officiating and stuff like that, so they continue to develop the sport.
You had a wonderful record, 2018-2019. You were judged Coach of the Year. I have a photo there for you to see. Coach of the Year, 2019, Francis McDonald. Right, beautiful. Francis McDonald, let's hold it there for me. Francis McDonald, receiving Coach of the Year for 2019 from SLFA Women's President, Football President, Liz Campbell. What was, in terms of your winnings and things that you achieved that year, what was it for you?
I think winning that, well, let me put it this way first for St. Lucians to know, and all those who are a stakeholder in my life, that being just winning this title was not just winning, it was winning for everybody, like I said before. I came under tremendous pressure after the, the Nations League. Tremendous pressure, tremendous distress. And I was going through a phase at the time. And therefore, the only place I could have looked to settle this score was on the field of play. And going through that time, we started a campaign for the nation. It was a long tournament, which I expected it was a good tournament as well. It took off a lot of evaluation on teams. Teams who were not fit tactically. They showed themselves to be weak. Good teams fell on the wayside, because I remember even winning Viewfort 5-1 or so in that preliminary rounds. And I always told the members, the players, that we may meet Viewfort again and they will not come very easy. Yeah. And winning that tournament, it was something of a remarkable contribution at that time. I felt glad, I felt happy The players were the one which actually I owe it to them, and also the administration of Grosley, which at least they gave me that opportunity to bounce back from the Nations League. And said, listen man, go out there, Shane Paul, go out there man, I know you can do it again. Just, you know. So the encouragements came out from everybody. So I thanked everybody who played a very vital part. This award went out to everybody that played a part in that.
There always seems to have a rivalry between Vifort, Castries, Grosley. But of late, Grosley, they have stepped up. And what's it like between the two, Grosley and Vifort? What's when you get to that onto the field?
Grosley, any team out of okay, there has been this rivalry from years. There's always these players who grow out from that same era. Always knew between the under 17s and the 21s. They knew each other from a very long time. So that continued to grow. And even after persons who were there before, that I could attest to, that had that same rivalry, especially Castries and Grosley, those years, those times, that was a big thing. So the powers of football have changed, and we know that Vifort has contributed to a number of skillful, talented footballers back then, and had paid a lot of winnings to that in terms of the district. The district had gained a lot of vital, contribution in terms of the championship. So when you play against those teams, Vifort and Grosley, there's all this hype would be about who's the best. You know what I mean? And we always see around St. Lucia that these teams always find themselves in that lockerheads at the finals or semi-finals or any given time. So there's a tight competition stage of class and skill, even in the coaching arena. Because the coaches are, when you play in Grosley and they say, okay, boy, is Panko there, boy, or there is this person there, or Bilas there, boy, you have to be careful. So when Bilas is watching me, I'm watching Bilas, and so forth and back and forth,
Yeah.
Bilas want to know what I'm coming, because, and likewise, it's when this same rivalry goes into the club system too.
Yeah.
When Platinum and Northern meet, it's this thing, that always go on in between this battle, of warfare in terms of football. And I like it, it is good, and it's healthy.
Okay.
And we have this kind of relationship, this kind of things, you know that the football is alive, breathing alive. So we just have to be thankful that it's there for us to always judge by what is the historical part of it.
Okay. Great. I know you're eager to hear what the next question is going to be. But guess what? I'm going to take a break. But when we come back, we'll be fanning the flames as to why St. Lucia withdraw from World Cup qualifier 2022. See you in a while.
La vaccine COVID-19 Saint-Lucie, ekse pou moun ki an l'âge 18 l'année et moutan, moun ki ka travay an département santé ki wiskab, dokter, nos, polis, pompier, moun ki ni pisadou, kanser, batman chè, presha, l'oppression, epi moun ki an l'âge 65 l'année et moutan. Ou pani pou paye pou la vaccine, epi yo pa ka oblige ou point. Registration sa fait online an tout health center ek epi dokter privé. Vacciner pour vous, pour ça ou, et puis pour nous.
What is a vaccine? A vaccine is a product that stimulates a person's immune system or their fighters to fight off a disease, such as the coronavirus. It does this by injecting a weakened form of a virus or a disease into the body, and it makes your body produce antibodies, which is how the body fights off diseases. Therefore, if you ever get exposed to that disease or virus in the future, your body produces these fighters very quickly, so you don't end up getting the symptoms or the disease.
This is a message from the St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association.
UTV.
I know you want to say
got it. If you identify with the most pulsating, the most riveting, the most eye-capturing UTV. To advertise with UTV, dial 484-7588 or 572-7588. For some of the most competitive rates, amazing programming, and bang for your buck. The most popular streaming channel, UTV 124 on Facebook. Get it now. Check us out on Instagram at UTV 124. Email us utvslu@gmail.com. Yo, UTV. It's not just for me. It's definitely TV for you.
Today, we are all focused on doing what it takes to avoid contracting the coronavirus. But what about breast cancer, which hasn't backed down for any pandemic? While a vaccine may immunize against COVID-19, the only defense against breast cancer is early detection.
I came across a lump in my breast one Saturday evening while watching TV. I did not waste any time in seeing a doctor. A mammogram followed by a biopsy confirmed breast cancer, stage 2. Again, I didn't waste any time. I started treatment, and 3 years later, I'm still here. After mastectomy, radiation, and chemotherapy. An early detection is far better than a late one. Know your body. Check your breast regularly and get annual
Welcome back. Now, St. Lucia, I want to be honest with you. I am rather disappointed with St. Lucia withdrawal of our participation in World Cup qualifiers. And I want to state clearly, with all the information mentioned by the president of the Football Association, and he coming out on yesterday and saying he's sorry and apologize for Cessport and Victor Reed, and every country look forward in the team participating in World Cup football. In the history of World Cup football, to date, I think it's only 2 teams, Mauritius, I think in 2014 thereabout, withdrawn because of financial circumstances. And secondly, India, in the early days of the World Cup, I think the case was that the players have no shoes to play. Can you imagine that? But whenever I roll back the years and look at the history of teams, St. Lucia is the latest. But I feel the pain of the players. I feel the pain of the nation. And we dub it as a lovely game, football. I want you to have a look at this picture. Yeah. You remember this picture?
Yes, that's the
You were, hold it there for me, please. You were addressing the SLFA and the players before you left St. Lucia for Martinique to play Haiti. All right, in the Nations League.
Okay.
All right. Let's go. And of course, you see Mr. McDonald have the chit chat with the president, Lyndon Cooper. The good old days when he was the coach of the national team. Let's roll. And of course, you want to name some of the players there for me? What did they know?
There is Ertkut, Hotel, Vino, Stanislas, Bernal, Messi, Cassius, Sonic, Pogba, Venus, Taliban, Nicholas, Malaiki, Rufai, Zain, what's his name? They call him Melvin.
Melvin
call him
Doxley.
Doxley. Sean to the end. Tiprai, and then the brother, what's his name, Lord?
Otev?
Not Otev. The one next to Zain. I just trying. Malik.
Okay, beautiful.
Malik
and
Sempri.
then Giovanni.
And I mentioned Giovanni.
Yeah, okay, beautiful. Let's roll to the next one. Of course, there's a team here. A few hours or thereabout before departure. And that was in 2018. 2019. Of course, Zain Pierre, former captain of the national squad. But before I ask the question, I need St. Lucia to understand, all right, that we need to respect players in this country, especially persons who in the past have represented country. And presidents and executives of every association must know they are responsible for getting things done. So these players, be it cricket, football, basketball, netball, volleyball, golf, tennis, squash, dominoes, darts, just name it. They are responsible of seeking sponsorship. I didn't mention swimming. Seek sponsorship and ensure that life goes as is or we're good enough so these players of the various national federations that I call can represent country. We need to respect our past, present players. We owe them that. And not because they were past players and making noise now that they're nobody. We must never use, abuse, and discard. Never. And what transpired outside the SLFA office on Wednesday is the first in the history of St. Lucia football. And according to the president, they threatened his life. That's the first time in the history of any president. They threatened to burn down the SLFA office. Well, under no other president over the years have had any office, and that's the only office under his watch. And players or persons that were there threatened to burn down the facility. You know, we're not supposed to have reached that stage. Only if this thing is giving some trouble. I know why. I guess I train these days, so I get small. Only if phone calls were answered and the level of communication open to the players. And I want to say that I WhatsApp the president, I WhatsApp Victor Reed, I WhatsApp Sespod, I WhatsApp Jabal Shabazz, I WhatsApp Yvetus. Yeah. I WhatsApp mostly every single person on the executive of the SLFA on the 24th of February, asking, what is St. Lucia's position when it comes to the qualifiers? I asked the question. Nobody replied apart from Bellas, who said, when I asked the question again, he said, we have withdrawn. Why? He said he can't say. I can't blame him. He can't say. So, if I on the outside was feeling frustrated because I looking for answers, far less the players. All right. We need to respect the players. We need to leave that. We need to leave that open door. Communication. We need to leave it open. Yeah. Don't shut the doors on the players. Never ever do that. The players, the leagues put you there, and they can remove you. Always remember that. I have a very good relationship with the president of the Football Association. In fact, I have a very good relationship with all presidents. But when you start to slack off, I just can't side with you. No, I'm not going to do that. You need to respect the players. Coming back to you, because I had to say this. Yeah, because I find it was disrespectful. I've been honest with you. Persons might not like what I say, but that is at the end of the day, that is the reality. You know? That is the reality. Your fault on this embarrassing position that we found ourselves in.
My thoughts, I could firstly say that I could understand and feel the pain of the players and all St. Lucians, footballers, who aspire to play at the highest level. I respect that, whatever, distractions, whatever, turmoils or stuff that will hamper that progress of representing your country, shouldn't be on the basis of one administration or parties determining whether you go, but based on your talent, that you prove yourself worthy of your representation and selection of that team, the national team. What transpired, like you said earlier on, should not have been if there was better communication available to bring the players into consultation as to what is, the prospective situation that we may incur. If that was done in the early interstages, therefore, that could have been avoided. So communication, respect for player and organization is in also question. The professional setup in terms of the admin processes should have been also something that would be an indicating factor. So there's some work to be done. There's some interesting areas that need to be touched on in terms of, the technical administration, the relationship between player, coach, and the technical director, and the mission of the FA. So if everything is clear cut, we will never find ourselves in this situation. One must say that also the players must be respected. The players are the engine that drives the football outside there. But yet still, I find that the disconnect has always been, as you heard before, a lot of parties have drawn the same solidarity of experiences in the past as relating to the relationship levels between the St. Lucia Football Association and themselves. I too had some situation that I'll not bring up, but I respect the party that we're dealing with, only the players. I think that it should have been done a bit more professional than that. And not because it has been done in the past the same way means that it will always be satisfied by everybody. No, times have changed. We're living in a time where people demand answers and they'll want answers. The level of respect and the liberty of freedom of speech in respect is something that people will always exercise. So I was in solidarity based on the fact that the players were not being contacted in the proper framework of mindset. So
yeah, because based on what the SLFA president was saying or mentioned yesterday, at no time the SLFA sanction put or convey the impression that there was any national team in training. And I still try to figure, why will the players now behave in such manner?
Well, I could only respond to based on the situation. If I may say that, if I use my relationship with the St. Lucia Football Association and say this is the same example as what it is, it'll be unfair. But I believe that getting out from them the way that they came across addressing the situation, obviously they're in the arena of information. So perhaps maybe time was given to them based on a fixture sent out from since last year, October, thereabout. Yeah. And preparation will have been obviously to them, based on the discussions that they have been having with the technical director and other coaches, that there must be a plan in place. So knowing that whatever transpired between the recruitment or whatever it is that's going on, that must have caused some kind of problem in terms of the communication level. So they expected that, okay, since of last year you knew. What are you doing? And I asked that question to a colleague of mine at the St. Lucia Football Association, who is one of the, I won't say names, I won't call names. And I asked him that question in somewhere around December. Hey, it's 3 months now. What preparation have been made by the SLFA? He says to me, listen, I want to know myself. Because there's no indication information coming out. So whatever happened then, he was also in the need of that, to know. So they had ample time to come up with a plan. That plan is supposed to have been, you're supposed to know that World Cup qualifiers are coming on the verge from since months before. So it must have been a plan. Why do we have to wait last minute?
Yeah.
Why do we have to always try to prepare a team in 2 months? Yes, I mean, and my take on this is that in the selection process, there are 3 types of selection for recruitment. One is the local based players, which is your base, the talent base of St. Lucia. 2 is the domestic local based players who go out in the region and play for the clubs from St. Lucia, like Trinidad and Jamaica. And then now you have the international based players, where you find that you go a little further ahead to see which of these crop pedigree that you may have to come in and give you strength. So out of this, we have always been dealing with the 2 bases of recruitment or selection: the local based players and those within the region, and 1 or 2 from outside. You understand me? So Zane has gone beyond, so Zane would have been acquitted, and those in the Americas go to school. So we have had a combination. Most Caribbean countries do the same. In St. Lucia, I find that there have been a debate about it in terms of what kind of setup that they have in terms of getting us to the World Cup. From transition of coaching methods, right? This has to stop also. Because if you find that there is a break of success, a triumph of success of one coach, I remember that I did that for a number of years for coaches, not myself, that you have to give at least an expected, response to the coaches. Okay, it didn't go well. Because what happened in terms of the transition between me and Shabazz is because of the transition. Philosophies change. You understand me? St. Lucia spent less money in 2018 to 2019, right, to prepare the senior national team. By 2019 to 2019 thereabout, it has jumped. If you look at the records, the president himself has said that they spent over $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million.
You understand me? And we did not have all us incurring debt in terms of that preparation. But look at, for example, look at the stats before us. So therefore, I find that the players themselves coming to that point of anxiety, want to represent the country. And by no means necessary that we should take in the disregardness of our players, our St. Lucian people, at any count. No leadership shouldn't say that you don't think our people can take us to the next stage. I disapprove of that. As long as you go on these grounds, you're not worthy of representation. You're not worthy of being the leader of an organization if you don't believe in your people. So that they're saying to me, when that kind of struck my attention when the president says that he don't think our domestic league can take us even to VG. And that was an insult to our local players and coaches as well. So it's not just the players, but it takes a lot on the coaches as well.
I have heard that comment, not exactly how you say it, but the question of, like, we don't have what it takes when it comes to our local football. And I have a serious issue with that comment. You cannot tell me you're spending, when it comes to local football, you spend a chunk of money. And out of your 19 leagues, we can find 5 players, 5 quality players, or 6 quality players to join players who do the trade, who play the trade in the Caribbean and elsewhere? Of course we can.
Yes.
But you cannot just say we're not going to select players locally because they're not going to, they cannot perform. I cannot buy into that at all. And I believe, I want to be honest, the SLFA need to rethink that position, because you cannot be spending money on your local development aspect, and at the end of the day, you will want to bypass your local people and look at the overseas. What do you think about FIFA in terms of the sanctions St. Lucia may face? Because based on what I saw or I read earlier, it is inside a 30 day that you can withdraw your team. But there's a fine. There's also a fine for where you will have to pay the host country. For instance, Nicaragua. You'll have to pay Nicaragua for preparing for that, because they'll have lost. They too will have lost a chunk just for preparing. And of course, FIFA now can ban you or sanction you for a period of time where you cannot get involved in any other tournaments. Not only that, they'll add insult to injury. The financial support that you're supposed to be getting annually or every 2 years, whatever it may be, you're going to forfeit that. I'm trying to figure whether the SLFA had studied Rule 5 when it came to withdrawal of a national team. Your take on that?
Well, I'm not privy to the rules based on tournaments, and I have been, in my time, I read something to that similar reason that in terms of the fine suspensions and stuff, there's a lot of preparation, especially CONCACAF for FIFA for CONCACAF would do in terms of especially qualifiers, as to prepare host teams and also teams who are traveling. Assistance is not like they have understood what that teams in preparation may have, but undercome issues. So in that event, in terms of sanctions and stuff, FIFA have made a lot of adjustments to avoid those sanctions. They give assistance of preparation, field preparation. And like he said, the president said that there's also, they send the reps down to look at the conditions of fields before they can say yes. As to how long before game, I do not have that preview. Okay. But the teams who prepare for these things have to do what you call media coverage preparation. They have to, obviously the hype will build in, qualifiers, whatever, they will be preparing. All of these things have to take into consideration. The same way if a team is coming here, St. Lucia will be having the media coverages, send out leaflets and other things that, that they are playing Nicaragua on this date, and, so that will be sensitized. Disappointingly, if you forfeit that, it affects the expectations of the tournament and what is expected, because they give you a lot of money to prepare teams over a period of time. Yeah. So you cannot see that you're not able to. And I believe that if a proper contingency discussion with maybe an MOU with the Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Health, the CMO and the government had put in place early enough, knowing that the spike in COVID would have been addressed. There would have been the players would have been in a bubble, because you had ample time to do so, and to avoid all these situations with the possibilities of St. Lucia becoming under sanction watch. So I believe that there's just careless unprofessionalism in that area based on that, and that they need to look at these areas very keen in going forward.
No, I really do support you on that, because if I have to mark the SLFA out of 10, being honest with you, it was total disrespectful, and they get 0. Yeah, because I just want to be honest. I mean, this is total disrespectful. What's your take on government intervention? I heard from the Prime Minister's office that they didn't receive any this and any that, and they're surprised about the withdrawal. They're disappointed. Should government get involved in such?
First, I think the government has been taken on this very hard, because I believe that the relationship between the SLFA and the government of St. Lucia is supposed to be something very keen. The last time I have seen in terms of the relationship was a walkthrough with the FIFA president, going through the FIFA project and also the sports academy. Yeah. So we could have rightly said that there is an open relationship. Also that the players of the under-17 also been housed at the Sports Academy. And there was this MOU between all ministries as to that. So I wouldn't say that the government is totally surprised. No, the government is not in the know that World Cup qualifiers are coming on. Because if no letterhead or any MOU or discussions on preparation or, some form of meeting and follow-ups, would have been taking place, that they would have obviously, I believe in the government, would have obviously make, room and space for that entity to be involved.
Because in a statement from the government or Prime Minister's office, the government has expressed disappointment with the decision to withdraw St. Lucia's national team from participating in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. News that the St. Lucia Football Association took the decision to participate in the qualifiers shocked players of the national football team who protested Wednesday outside the association headquarters in La Clery, demanding answers from the executive. Of course, is that right, Is that right? But I get them wrong for threatening for threatening the president and for saying that they're going to burn down the building. I get them wrong for that. You go there and you showcase what you come for. You seek your answers and you get out or you get home. And you go home. But in terms of the threatening aspect of it, I don't support that type of behavior at all. But what's going good, when I asked the president about whether any sanctions or any disciplinary action will be taken against the players, he said no. And I want to believe him in that answer, no. And I simply hope that from here on, that the SLFA and its entire executive put their act together. Because from now on, they are under scrutiny. They are under the microscope of the St. Lucian public. The St. Lucian public, they normally remain silent. But when issues like that arises, they will tear you apart. West Indies can be doing well. Look, let them lose a stupid match and you will hear the public. That is stable for you. So I'm warning you all at the SLFA, put your house in order and reconnect with the players. Reconnect with the various leagues. And let's move this country football to the level we believe it was ought to be going into 2022 Qatar World Cup. You had a stint as SLFA coach. I remember you went to Antigua. What about the score in Antigua?
3-0.
3-0 in favor of
St. Lucia.
I deliberate as a question, Right. But you went to Martinique to play Haiti, and you lost 2-1. And Haiti is one of the strongest teams in the region. Most people don't know that, but Haiti is one of the strongest teams. And St. Lucia gave Haiti a run for the money. I remember giving a run for the money. And Haiti was hoping that if the referee could have called the match off in the 60th minute, they'll be happy because St. Lucia will come in at them. But when they came back here, how long after that your job as a coach, national coach, you were terminated, you were fired, you were sacked, you were thrown out for the window? I mean, not looking for words. Yeah.
Well, I was none of the above. Sacked, fired, or thrown out the door. Like I said, there is a situation that happened. I don't want to bring it into content at this point in time. I'd rather leave it closed. And I was disappointed in the response of the presidency. And I felt that I did not need to be disrespected that way, and decided to redress myself and walked away. It is disappointing and hurtful because there was a lot I could have said, but I had to keep the professionalism and the respect because the players was present, and I had to just withdraw myself at that time.
Okay.
So I feel that at the beginning of the campaign in 2018, there was no desire on the part of the St. Lucia Football Association to win. The players and myself came together and said, listen, throw the captaincy. In fact, Zeno was not even the captain appointed as yet. And we sat down and we all came and I said, listen, I am not going into any tournament and make our country shameful. We're going there to give a good account of ourselves. And we told the technical director, if you expect less of us, to go in a tournament like this, we are going to have to win. So the expectations were already set by the St. Lucia Football Association because of the way that the recruitment process, maybe using local-based players, because we had about, if I count, about 5 foreign-based players, right? I could name them for you: Otev, Melvin, Zane, Penal, Kut. That's just 5 I could remember on our list.
The team
and Malaki.
That was in Martinique, right?
The same team. No, well, we had 1 or 2 players that were not there at the beginning.
Yeah. The players that were not at the beginning was Vino, Riddle Stanislas,
right?
Cassius Joseph, Dylan Neptune, Nicholas Lawrence, and Sean Evans.
Right.
Those were the players that replaced them. Yeah. Okay.
And because we had, again, I came back because I saw the deficiencies, and I asked the presidency for players that were on ban to be reunited with the team at the time. And because of the situation between I think upon that time was Blackhat and the incurring problems between the district and the national team, that caused a big problem, of a big fiasco, and some of the players were on ban.
Yeah.
And I went to him and asked him, listen, we can win against Haiti. Give me those players. You see what I mean? And the response was not nice, and I was upset with the response, but I had to hold it together. I think one of my campaigns in terms of 2018, 2019 was the limitation of selections of players. We had a good base start, and we could have gone through if we had the technical players like Shane Paul, Crexton, and those guys, coming in and giving the extra strength that we needed. We had to deal with a number of injuries. I played Aruba the last game, and I had to strap the player, that's T-Pry. Strap this player, his leg was damaged, and because of the pressure of the game, to force a tactical change. I remember that clearly.
Okay.
We had the team, I think, was 2-0, and Aruba came back and scored 1, and then we scored again, and trying to change because my bench was so thin that it had to rely on the extra intelligence of the game for me to try to see how I could result. And we didn't have a bench. Unfortunately, in asking, at that time, as a coach, I'm seeing that, Aruba have a number of selected changes. Haiti have a number of selected changes, right? Cayman Islands, the same, and so forth. And then I had only 15 to 14 players in total. Now you see the amount of work that have to be done, the extra psychological work has to be done. So after the campaign is finished, I find that, trying to address for the second round, because we finished out of, I think it was 12th or 13th in the Caribbean, the Nations League round, with just 2 points. We finished with 7 points, and the highest top points was 9 points, which was Haiti in our group. If we had won our game against the Cayman Islands, that would have equated us to get 10 points.
Okay.
Remember that? So therefore, Haiti had 10, something like 12, I can't remember, but Haiti fell on top. So therefore, we gave a good account. But based on that, we had to readdress ourselves based on the situations.
With all that surrounding the withdrawal from the World Cup, if you had put a team in place, do you believe St. Lucia will have at least show some real slit in the matches against the Nicaragua, Haiti, and Belize?
As of the last campaign under Shabazz, I think St. Lucia had one of the best teams put together. with the past players from 2018 and coming together with the recruitment stages where they had gone from, selection from abroad, brought in some, some fresh players. I was in that same boat as to select players, but I needed to see a more definite skill set from those players, how they're playing styles. But didn't have the privilege at the time to select. So, saying one, St. Lucia had a team in training, a good start in terms of preparation, good following up in terms of the mindset based on the games. I think that we'll have a good team to compete. At least coming through Haiti, playing Haiti. I think that we'll have a good, combination, knowing that some of the players are there in 2019 that played against Haiti would have said, okay, let's make a difference in this team. They know what they play. So I think coming on board in this time, they had a good component from 2019. So I don't know if there is a matter of re-strengthening the team further, but strengthening the team is a gradual stage. So I think St. Lucia will lead a good account of themselves.
How old is too old for a football player?
I was watching a game, a selection of Dominican player, and he was 45 years and running like a young man. But to me, a football life, if you start early in your age, is like how, let me say, about 14 years playing national and going onwards. I think your career would have lasted until 35.
35. So why
expected 45 with good health?
Thank you. Why people believe that a national player at the age of 26, 28 has reached his peak and still want to play World Cup football qualifier? You get me?
Yes, I'm getting what you
Because what I'm trying to say, and what we see our players for, we abuse, discard. So you're 26, 28. What they're saying to you is to close shop. Your take, listen to me well, on Shane Pierre.
Shane Pierre? Shane Pierre.
Not Shane, what's his name?
Zane Pierre.
Zane Pierre, sorry. Yeah, on Zane Pierre.
Based on his age?
Yeah.
The player is as good as anyone else as a 21 or 19-year-old competitor for position, for selection. If you're looking at a long-term development plan with the FA football structure, they would consider having youth representation, right? Because they always say the youth is always there. But I sometimes can discard that, because if you had this guy, there's a guy who played Miller for Cameroon that time, and he's 40-something years old, and this man was the goal-getter for Cameroon. I think the notion is in our head.
It is.
As to what we perceive to be, we cannot determine what a player's ability can perform, as to how long he can go. If there is a proper fitness structure in place and the player meets all the demands of the game, of the fitness test, right? He's fit to play. Then you subject that player for selection based on his skill set, technical and other areas, as long as he complies with all what is going through. So I cannot determine the player is not good or discard the player if he meets all the requirements.
You know why? You cannot do that? You're not a medical practitioner.
Exactly.
And we have to be careful when we say, or when we say that, hey, Tom and Jerry too old, and Tom and Jerry have no place on my team. You're not in as president or any member of any executive, they're not in a position to say that. And I'll tell you why. You as an executive, in fact, not even the executive, the technical person, the coach, the technical person's dealing with, right, will need to send that player, male, female player, for evaluation in terms of the fitness and health, etc. And when the results get back to you as the technical person, you sit around the table with the coach, with the managers or executive, in the player, and then you also, you know what, you receive that from the doctor and so on, and then, you know, your knees give way and this kind of thing. Your heart, you know, all these kind of things. But you cannot take it on your own and say the Beauville McDonald cannot play a 90-minute game. No, you're out of place. And that was the problem with West Indies cricket. When players started to sue West Indies, because they were saying that the players too heavy and too big and too fat that they could run. And the players took that advantage. And West Indies cricket had a lot of money to pay because they felt that it was insultive to them. Because you're no physician to come and tell me I'm too big. So why you think Rakim Cornwell on the West Indies team? Tell them Rakim too big. He's the first Antiguan to score a century. To score half century at the Vivian Richards Cricket Stadium. Why in Bangladesh he picked up 5 wickets in an innings? Go and tell him he's too big. And you will see what letter you'll get tomorrow morning from his lawyers. We can't be insulting on people's height and people's weight. No, we cannot do that. You know? But let me tell you, at present, what is the relationship between you and the SLFA? knowing you have gone through some trying times with them, what's the relationship like?
I would say we are very cold at the moment.
Very cold.
For whatever reason that they have, even if I try to get in contact with certain members, it's still just like anybody else. The phone rings out, you never get the return call. Information about club matters, information about other issues, coming up or something that relates to tournaments. But when it comes to disciplinary action, they're very fast.
So you don't believe not taking your calls is disrespectful?
I could think so. I'd already, to me, honestly, being in a professional setup, I like to remain professional.
Yeah, because
I am beyond that.
Yeah, because you're representing a league.
Right.
You're representing the Grosvenor Football League. You're the technical person. And if you call an office seeking for information and nobody wants to take your call, that is, I mean, come on. We have to be bigger than that. Bigger than that picture. Is little children as behave, and nowadays little children not even behave in that kind of manner. You know what I'm saying? So you see where we at as a country after 42 years of independence. We still behaving like people, like children in a crib. No man, we have to get away from that nonsense. Yeah.
But one of the things that I may mention in this is because the level of work that I do now, it's very extensive at the football, in terms of Grosvenor Football League and Northern United. It's very extensive, and right now I'm in the process of doing what you call a football philosophy, tracking down in terms of our ideologies of football, in terms of match methodologies, how do we play, tracking on my players in terms of their strengths and how we can build them up. I think one of the problems that I have been looking for, I don't want to criticize any programs, right? But something that we need to take, one of the best, I'm going back on the fact about our local footballers, right? And the respect. One of our best skillful players comes out from the ghettos. You understand me?
Okay.
The ghettos of St. Lucia and the rural areas. These players come out of these places. I remember there was one skillful player, I'm not sure if you could remember. I'm bringing that into Jackson from Viewfort.
Yeah, I remember Jackson.
This man was a guy to look at, and you have a number of other players that came out of these. But the thing I'm trying to focus on as a technical coach is trying now to build a format and a framework where you take those students from those areas, the ghettos, and bringing them into a structure, whether it be the HPC structure, trying to get them into the sports academy, so that they be under a privileged level where they can, develop further with the most intensive overlook over themselves to develop their academic, their health, and their sports into it. So when we look at our bright future, right, our transitional art from club to district to national team is supposed to be the primary source of our ideology. And Sammy, I don't think that we have that relationship because there's always a broken gap there. And our football, we cannot go to the frustration as administrators is just trying to get short success, to want to bring in these things, because you don't see with me that you feel that I am not on your side or I'm not favoring all your discussions. I believe that I am not for you. There's an opinion.
Yeah.
You must respect my opinion. I'm not going to disrespect you. So that level in terms of the footballers and other persons who have gone by, that's why solutions are coming out, because they need to see a change.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not asking for the head of the presidency. I'm not asking for him to but I'm asking for a revolutionary change in concepts.
The way we do things.
The mindset has to be changed.
I've always said that, it is a good thing you bring it up, I've always said that, I'm not asking for a revolution with guns and things, The way we do things in this country, in terms of sports, we need to change that way. But your final comment, as we're about to close, your final comments?
Well, I wish that among all things, that this situation with the Football Association becomes, very, amicable resolutions may come into place, that the players may not be victimized, and as coaches and technical administrators of the sport, that we ourselves can also be in solidarity with the changes that has to be made right now from here on. I sympathize with the footballers. I ask them to remain patient, right? See what comes out, see where we're going with this. World Cup desires and dreams have already fallen short because it's cut to 2022, it's gone. So we have to look for 2026. They may be around still, they may not be around. And that's the uncertainty, and I understand the frustration. So stay strong. Let's look forward to the brighter future of St. Lucia football.
I really want to share the similar sentiments with you, as you did. And of course, to all the footballers in this country. Like Francis just said, remain focused, remain strong. And today the SLFA, according to Cooper, yesterday, and if I checked it out, he must have apologized at least 6 times for Cespod, Victor Reed, and Jabal Sabaj. Alright? 6 times. And I do believe he meant these apologies. But I simply hope, from here, there is a U-turn for a better delivery in terms of communication, in terms of an open door for the for players, coaches, managers, those under the umbrella of the SLFA, and for every other national sports organization under the SLOC banner, to the presidents and executive members likewise. This is the only way as a nation we're going to develop. This is the only way as a nation we're going to move forward. This is the only way as a nation the people of this country will rally around you, rally behind you, as you continue to go out there and ply your trade in whatever sport may be. Please, I'm not a consultant, but the little 2 cents advice that I can give, please listen. Listen to the players. They are the one who put you there for their legs. Listen to the players. They are the one putting the executive in place to do the work. Not the mobile, The mobile is there to report. And I frustrated too because nothing happening. Can you imagine that? I frustrated too, nothing happening, but I quarreling. I think at some point in time, something will happen. COVID won't be there for forever. You understand? Hold on strong. And let's unite. Let's unite. We're too small as a country to be behaving in such a manner, man. That's unacceptable. But again, to all federations, I wish all well, as there's some remnants of some things coming back soon. So wait, it's coming. All right. Finally, from me, I want to wish every single person the very best of weekend and the week ahead. As you know, we enter in the Holy Week. Again, I appeal to you all, with all this violence, please, take a break. It is not good for the nation. Not at all, not at all, not at all. Take a break, people. To those celebrating weddings, birthdays, whatever it may be, congratulations for the week. Debo, so long. Have a good one.